Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Dump and Chase podcast. We've taken a few weeks off, but we've been hard at work to upgrade the show. Which reminds me, let's get rid of this. Whoops. So sit back and enjoy this episode of the new and improved Dump and Chase podcast.
Shut up and sit down.
And we're back. Took a little 3-week break there. Well, a break from recording, a break from life and work, not so much. But we were able to get in some upgrades that we have wanted to do for some time now, and as you've already seen from the opening video. But we have one more surprise. As you can see right now, the titles card on the screen looks a little different. Well, right now it kind of looks like a title card for like a 1970s sitcom. But that's not all of it. Thanks to the incredible artistic talent of one Miss Raylan Glenn, we have these. So we'll start with me. And now Justin. And there you go. Raylan, thank you. I bow to you because, let's face it, I couldn't draw a straight line if you bolted the roller to a table. So...
Yeah, my stick people are all mutants.
Yeah, my stick people all have scoliosis, so...
Mine are lucky if I get the number of limbs right.
So, in this episode, we'll take a quick look at the past few weeks, we'll start to get an idea of the Eastern Conference playoff picture, and in our Phantoms player profile, we'll dig into forward Garrett Dahm. And something we've been looking forward to for a while now, you'll get to hear our interview with Ted Rendinell, the owner of Max Athletic Training, which is the official training partner for the Youngstown Phantoms. It was a really great look behind the scenes, and we are absolutely excited to share it with all of you.
Yeah, it was a really great interview. I actually learned quite a bit, so definitely stick around for that.
Yeah. So, to kick things off, let's take a look at some roster news for the Phantoms. It seems the team has been hit by the injury bug again. Last weekend, we saw Austin May, Nikolai Jensen, and Colin Purcell out with injuries. Now, we're more aware of Purcell's injury than the others, and this has led to a train of goalies being called up to serve in the backup/emergency role, which included Trevor Kuntar's younger brother, Cameron. Now, he didn't see any game action, but I'm sure that had to have been a special moment for the two of them to share the bench with each other.
Yeah, I'm wondering what the banter was there on the bench, but that's between brothers.
Yeah. Now, also, due to a couple fights last Friday in the games against Dubuque, Artyom Borshev will be serving the second of a 2-game suspension Friday night. Josh DeLuca was suspended 1 game for fighting, which was served last Saturday, and Borshev was suspended 2 games for a secondary altercation, which nowadays in the USHL is a big no-no.
Yeah, a few too many bench brawls or line brawls back in the day. So, yeah, they don't want a second fight going on the ice. DeLuca got an instigator. That's okay. I'm fine with him taking a game suspension for sticking up for a buddy. I understand the intention of the instigator penalty, which I'm not against per se, but I almost never see it used in a way that I like. So, it's kind of crappy, but he probably knew what he was getting into. So, a game here, 2 games there, not the biggest issue we have right now.
Yeah. So speaking of issues we have right now, let's take a look back at the past few weekends that we have missed as far as recapping. Starting with the Phantoms dropping 2 of 3 to Green Bay. They did flip the script. Instead of coming back from a 3-goal deficit on a Saturday, they decided to do it on a Friday before winning that game in overtime, before dropping the next 2 that weekend. The next weekend, they picked up 3 out of 4 points in Cedar Rapids, losing the Friday game in overtime and then winning the Saturday game 3-2. And then last week against Dubuque, lost both games by a combined score of 10-1. The lone Phantom goal of the weekend came way of a deflection by Cade Lemmer for his first United States Hockey League goal.
The Green Bay games, that was really bad, dropping a 2 out of 3. Not a team that we can afford to lose ground to. Cedar Rapids, pretty good wins on the road. Dubuque, the only thing you could say is, that was the kind of goal that we wanted to see from Cade Limmer. Just deflected off of him in front of the net. He's going to be a tough guy in front of the net if he ever applies himself in that area. And hopefully he gets a ton more that way.
So even though the Phantoms picked up 5 of a possible 14 points in the past few weeks, as far as the standings in the Eastern Conference are concerned, it's not all gloom and doom. The Phantoms are currently in 6th place, 1 point ahead of Cedar Rapids, but Cedar Rapids has 2 games in hand. They trail 5th place Muskegon by 2 points, which makes this weekend all the more important. And right now, only 7 points separate the 3rd seed from the 6th. So they're not out of this by any stretch. Now, the past couple seasons, we've seen the Phantoms make a late season push after middling for a good portion of the season. If they can do that again this year, it's not nearly as big a hill to climb as it has been in the past.
No, so yeah, things get really weird down the stretch. We've had some really good runs towards the end. I remember one year beating Green Bay out by a half game, literally last game of the season. If we won the game, we went to the playoffs. They had the tiebreaker. If we tied or lost, they went to the playoffs. So it'll be interesting, to say the least, going down the stretch. And hey, I've heard some rumors that things aren't all sunshine in Chicago. So
yeah. Yeah, by the looks of it, it hasn't been all that much sunshine in Muskegon either, so that might be good for news for us coming into this weekend. But yeah, I mean, right now, Youngstown only 2 points behind Muskegon, 3 points behind Green Bay, 7 points behind Team USA, which if you look at they're like 1-8-1 in their last 10, so Team USA's kind of hit a wall a little bit as far as USHL play. They've been off playing in international tournaments and everything like that. I believe they're supposed to be coming back here sooner than later. But yeah, definitely, Team USA has, kind of fallen off the wagon a little bit. So, I mean, it's not out of reach. I mean, you'd like to see us in that 3rd or 4th seed to, have home games that first round. Because let's face it, the 1st and 2nd seed are pretty much out of the question at this point.
So yeah, every point is going to be important, That's why I was a little disappointed with the Green Bay games, but yeah, we got to look forward. Muskegon, definitely big games, and we always match up good against Muskegon, so I think the fans know what they're going to get out of this pair of games this weekend. And we'll see. We got some Western Conference teams on the schedule coming up. Guys we don't see a lot, so those are always wild card games.
Okay, so now for a very special treat. Just a few hours ago, again, we usually record these on Wednesday night. We got to have a conversation with Ted Rendinell, the owner, CEO, president of Max Athletic Training, which is the official training partner for the Phantoms. It was a great look behind the scenes into what goes into the training of a Tier 1 junior hockey team. And we try hard to make sure that no one is left out. So we also want to point out that Max Athletic are the official trainers of the team. The team actually trains at Warrior Warehouse in Boardman. So big shout out to Wade and the whole gang there as well. So now for your listening pleasure, here is our interview with Coach Ted of Max Athletic. Okay, and now we're joined by Ted Rendinell, the owner and CEO of Max Athletic Training, the official training partners of the Youngstown Phantoms, in conjunction with Warrior Warehouse, which is located at 770 Boardman Poland Road in Boardman, directly behind Lazy Boy. Ted is a graduate of Cardinal Mooney, where he was a 2-time All-Steel Valley Conference linebacker and played in college at Bowling Green. He started his own orthopedic product distribution company and spent several years as an assistant in the strength and conditioning program at YSU. Now, Ted, that is one heck of a resume. Thank you for spending some time with us, and welcome to the Dump and Chase podcast.
Oh, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
So we'll jump right in here. Can you tell us a little about Max Athletic Training and what you feel you offer to athletes in our area that maybe other trainers don't?
Yeah, there's a lot of great places out there. It's a matter of finding the right fit. This goes back. When I was a junior in high school, maybe senior year, the first Nautilus facility in Ohio opened up in Niles, Ohio, and I was the first Nautilus training instructor, which is pretty cool. I was 17 years old, 18 years old, and I was training people on the latest and greatest Nautilus equipment at the time. Now, over the years, we found out that was probably not the best way to train, but it was revolutionary at the time. A lot of good ideas by Ellington Darden, and still many of those ideas are implemented in most colleges and the Olympic Training Center in Colorado Springs. But we backed off of that and learned some stuff from the Russian research and the Russian doctors and coaches, which is where most of collegiate and professional teams currently train.
Okay.
Nice. Russian machine never break.
No.
The Russians got it right.
Yeah.
I mean, I could go into a half hour there, but I don't want to bore you.
Yeah, I might take you up on that sometime.
I mean, I can go into it.
Yeah.
A lot of people would be interested.
Yeah, we probably have time constraints on this segment, but maybe we'll sit down some time over a few adult beverages.
Agreed.
Okay, so 2 years ago, you became the official training center for the Phantoms, but you had worked with the team for several years before that. What has that relationship with the team meant to you and meant to Max Athletic?
Well, I opened up Max Athletic Training about, 8 or 9 years ago. Had a great run for about 8 or 9 years. I started with the Phantoms when I first opened up with Brad Patterson and I think Robo, who was the coach of the head coach of the team at that time. I think he's with Team USA right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's kind of the enemy now.
Well, no, I mean he's a good guy. I mean,
he knows the sport. That's for he has the background. I will give him that.
Yeah, I mean. I wouldn't work with these guys if I didn't enjoy it and didn't trust them, So the whole organization from the coaching staff, GM down, has been wonderful. There's been some changes here in the past few years, every now and then, and I'm the only stable thing here, me and Patty. So we take great pride in that. But no, those are all great people. They help the league, they help us, they help the kids. Most importantly. I guess the question was, how long have I been in business and all that type of stuff? I've been training young athletes and old athletes from 8 to 80 for about 35 years. I mean, I was always the strongest kid in high school. When I went on to play football at Bowling Green, I was the strongest for my weight, back in the 1980s when they didn't even have weight rooms. But I was always asked, hey, can you help my kid? Hey, can you help my kid? Hey, can you help my kid? And the answer to me, from me was always yes, because I enjoyed it and I want to help kids, get better. So it's a natural, as my career has gone on, I've done a number of professional things, strength conditioning. I've worked with DePuy Orthopedics for 20 years. I was a distributor selling hips and knees and orthopedic products and medical athletic products. But it always boiled down to, hey, can you help my kid? I had an orthopedic surgeon say, hey, can you help my kid? And I'd say, yeah. So at this time in my life, it just kind of, it was dumped into my lap, and I love it. I'm helping kids from, 4 counties here in Youngstown.
Yeah, and you get to work with, now work with kids who are on the cusp of a draft, and, that's got to be pretty cool.
Yeah, well, when I was at YSU, obviously, they're all D1 athletes. Big, strong, fast kids, the best of the best. I mean, not D1, not Ohio State, but really close.
Yeah.
And we got guys going, to NFL Combine. So at YSU, so that was very cool. I worked under John Haycock there, and John Patrick was my head coach. I worked underneath him. He's at UNC Charlotte right now. But yeah, working with this level of athletes. And I thought you were going to ask me that later, but that's okay. The key thing about these kids they are great athletes. They can play any sport. They're all around 6 foot, 6'1", 6'2". They're all around 185, 210. Can jump through the roof. Yeah, they're great athletes, and it's exciting. And it's exciting when they're right on the cusp of getting that scholarship, or once they've had it. and they're like, okay, what's the next level? Where do I go? What do I got to do? My experience with the Phantoms, all the players over the last 8 years, they've had a burning desire to be great, and yeah, I'm privileged to work with them.
Now, your work with Max Athletic, your work with YSU, you've worked with all, sorts of different athletes, different sports and everything like that. From a trainer's perspective, how is hockey different to, say football, basketball, track? What does a typical Phantoms training session entail compared to other sports?
Yeah, that's a great question. It depends. It'll take me an hour to explain it, so I'm going to break it down to a 30-second or 1 minute explanation. There are kids that love to work out in the weight room, and there are kids who don't. Okay. Football, 99% of the kids want to lift weights, get big and strong and fast. Okay. Hockey players come second. They want to get bigger, stronger, faster because they're in a contact sport. Okay. Basketball, baseball, and no offense to these other sports, but these kids don't. They're like, hey, I just want to play. So I appreciate the hockey mentality. I don't know if I mentioned to you guys, but I went to BGSU, and I think we won the NCAA tournament back in 1983 or 84. Brian McClellan, a couple guys were on that USA team that beat the Russians.
Yeah.
We had some tough guys that were my friends. I was on the football team. They were on the hockey team. Hockey players are just tough. We got a couple guys on our team. I don't know if I can mention names there, but they're tough as nails. Most of the guys, I would say all of our guys are tough as nails. There's a handful of guys that are jacked.
Yeah, you can name them if you want. I'm sure they'd like to hear it.
Our whole team's tough, but Josh DeLuca is just, I wouldn't want to fight this kid. I mean, he weighs 145 pounds, dripping wet. But he'll fight the biggest guy in town. And
we've seen that several times now.
Yeah, and you got Merrick, who's a big, strong body, and
we wish he would.
And then
yeah,
you got, and you got Lemmerer. I'll put him. He's a little pit bull. I'll put him in with anybody. And then you got your skill guys. You got the Shones and some of those guys that are better at being in open space. And that's where the team has to figure out what they have to do.
So now, is there any bit of difficulty in working with 16 to 20-year-old kids, all coming from different backgrounds and in some cases different nationalities?
No, it's an absolute joy, to be quite honest with you. It's fun because I've been there and done that. So when they come in the summer, I think we start in August, 90 degrees outside. I have them run a little bit, warm up outside. You could see where they're just trying to get to know each other, kind of like dogs sniffing each other's butts, for lack of a better term. Yeah, I mean, we got Artie, and we got a couple other the Russian kids. I can't recall their names right offhand, but they've been great. I mean, they come in. I can't speak with them, but I can speak with them through my eyes.
Okay.
And head nods and this and that. And it takes a while on my part. So I have to work very, very hard to get through communication-wise. But the whole team helps these kids out when they come in from outside of the country, especially Russia. And it's wonderful to see them become friends and adapt over a month or two or three. And yeah, it's a joy for me. As an older guy that's like almost parent-like, it's cool. They're all together now. This team is very, very close, and I'm expecting a big run from them if they're athletically gifted enough to do it.
Yeah, that's one thing we've noticed this year is they seem to be a little more cohesive, and there doesn't seem to be kind of the locker room issues that maybe past years have seen. Yeah,
we've had no locker room issues as far as I can see. I mean, these kids love each other. I mean, they have fun with each other. It's my job to tone down that fun while I have them. No, with all due respect.
Yeah.
While I have them, for the 1 or 2 hours a week that I do. I mean, I get a Monday and Tuesday 1 hour with these guys, and we have 3 different groups. But that's, kind of all they need. They need me for an hour, and then they need to be away from me for now, okay? Because they have to go practice with Coach Patterson. And Jeff and Nick do a great job, seriously. So I think we got a good thing going. I think these guys are ready to break out, in my opinion. But as far as like them getting together and being friends and stuff like that, yeah, they're there.
So when it comes to injuries, how involved are you with the rehabbing? As far as what you can do to help keep them in some semblance of shape when they can't play. I'll use the example of Ben Schoen. Had an upper body injury, was out for 3 months. So I mean, he was able. I mean, I imagine lower body workouts he was still able to do. But like how involved in that process are you?
Yeah, I'm involved a lot, a whole lot. I work closely with Joe Zadar. That's Zidar. He's the athletic trainer for the Phantoms. He's out of UPMC. He's based in, I don't know if he's in Sharon or Hermitage, Pennsylvania. He's got about a 40-minute drive every day. And he works his butt off. I mean, not only does he drive, the commute, but he travels with the team. And some of those trips aren't fun in a bus, for 3 days and stuff like that. So he works his butt off, and he gives me every day a daily update on injuries, status reports, and whatnot. And Joe is kind of, I tease him, but I say, hey, you're my boss. Now, he doesn't write my check, but he's my boss. Whatever he wants me to do with an athlete, I do. And so we keep constant communication together daily, especially when the kids are training. And I adapt each individual's workout based on his diagnoses of any potential injury. So yeah, Joe's a big part of this program, and yeah, we're all involved.
Okay, Justin, I already know your follow up for this, so go ahead.
Yeah. So, in your experience, how common is it for players to try to hide the injuries?
Oh, zero.
Okay.
No, I'm not kidding. I'm no disrespect. I mean, the kids want to play.
Yeah.
So, but they'll be open about, hey, look, I can't go. I can't do this. I can't do that. I can't do this movement. I can't lift this weight. I can't move my arm. I can't lift my leg. So they will, they'll let you know if it's real serious. Other than that, they're tough kids and they'll go.
I'm almost thinking that wasn't the answer you were expecting.
Not quite, but it's good to know. I mean, there was a time where these kids would have not, until they were, laying on the ice, couldn't move. We all know that's not good. So,
yeah.
Well, let me jump in. I mean, back when I was an athlete, back in the 80s, God, I'm so old. I played football under Don Butchie at Cardinal Mooney, and unless you had like a bone sticking out of your shin, you had a compound fracture, he'd make you go in and play.
Rub some dirt on it.
And not give you any water. He'd give you a salt pill and not give you any water. All right. During double days. And we had canvas football clothes back then, and, so yeah, we were tough back then, high school football in Youngstown back in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, and, during the glory days. But, we're talking about hockey, and the kids want to play, and they will not tell us of major injuries. They will complain about minor stuff, which we encourage them to do.
Okay.
The major injuries are obvious. But it's the minor stuff which could lead to major stuff, which we want to know. So they're only out a week or two instead of 2 or 3 months. So they're good about doing that. That's what I'll say. Yeah, that's a challenge for us coaches, athletic trainers, strength coaches, and hockey coaches.
Cool. Now, if I'm correct, in addition to training, you also offer assistance with like diet and nutrition.
That's another hour conversation.
I guess the question we would have, kind of going back to before, are there challenges as far as dealing with the like diet and nutrition with players, especially the one coming from overseas, who aren't used to, I guess, American cuisine?
Well, that's a great question. Yeah, I hope you guys record all this and implement it properly.
Uh-huh.
No, with all due respect.
Yeah.
It's a great question. Yeah, nutrition is huge, as we all understand. Nutrition is a challenge for any coach at any level with grade school, high school, even college level kids. They like to eat what they want to eat, which is typically not good stuff. And some kids don't eat. I mean, they'll wake up and they don't eat breakfast, they don't eat lunch, they'll only have dinner. And you've got a kid that's 167 pounds, I don't know. I won't mention any names, but they're like, hey, coach, I can't get any weight. And I go, well, what did you eat today? And they're like, I go, what'd you have for breakfast? Well, I didn't eat breakfast. And what'd you have for a snack in between breakfast and lunch? Well, I didn't have that. And what'd you have for lunch? Well, I had a glass of water and a small burrito. And I go, okay, so what'd you have between then and practice time? Well, I didn't eat anything. And then I go, and you had practice. What did you have after practice? Well, whatever my billet family gave me, And the billet family, hey, first of all, let's get this straight. They're great folks. Okay, they take care of these kids on the most part, but the kids aren't taking care of themselves, and it's not a surprise to me. Not a surprise at all. I saw it in my private practice for the last 8 years at Max Athletic Training. The kids they don't eat, and they go, well, I ate a lot, coach. I'm not gaining any weight. I go, how much is a lot? And they're like, well, I had a piece of toast for breakfast, and I had a salad and a small sandwich for lunch, and then at dinner I had half a chicken breast and some peas. This is an example. You can't keep a starving prisoner alive with that kind of food, let alone build muscle.
Mm-hmm.
So these guys just, they don't eat enough. You got to eat. When you're a kid, you got to eat because you burn it off, especially if you're on the ice.
Yeah.
So do I provide? The question is, do I provide nutritional information for these kids? Yeah, we started day one. We started last spring, actually. I said, look, this is what you got to do. You got to eat this. You got to eat this. You got to eat this. This is how much. You got to take this supplement, this supplement, this supplement, this supplement. And if you do, you'll come back here 20 pounds heavy. I go, if you don't, you'll come back the same way. And 90% of them come back at the same weight.
Now, do you ever get any kind of blowback from like some of the international kids who aren't used to eating this kind of stuff to begin with?
Well, we had one kid, I won't mention his name. He sliced. He had a sausage in front of him with a group of guys. They just doing barbecue, and he sliced the sausage in half and pulled off the wrapping. What do you call that?
The casing, yeah.
The casing. He said in his country that you could get like liver damage by eating that stuff. I just heard that today. Everyone's making fun of him. So we gave him a bunch of hot dogs, and he's like cutting the dogs and pulling off them out.
Phil Kessel would have never stayed alive.
There's a little bit of that, but not much. I mean, our kids here, the USA kids, have welcomed those guys from, across the border, Russia and Japan, and over the years, all the kids that have been in different countries, they've been so welcoming, and I know those kids feel comfortable here, and it's been a great experience for all.
Okay, so you've been hesitant to name names. This one, where we want you to name drop a little bit here. As far as this year's team is concerned, who would you say is the strongest, or maybe someone who just absolutely blows you away with the intensity of their workouts?
Well, I'm not going to name names.
Nah.
But I will tell you, about 92%, 95% of our kids go balls out every day. All right, I'll give you a name. Gallagher, one. Who else? Artie is another. Jensen, Nikolai.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny, he's naming all defensemen.
Yeah.
Joe Bay's done a great job. Hayden has come up, doing better.
We like to hear that.
Yeah.
There's guys that have developed. I mean, Funk steps up every now and then. Working on Dahm, he's getting better daily.
We've both noticed that too.
Yeah, he has so much potential, you know, and I give him his space because he's a unique guy, and I see it paying off. So I'm very excited about that, and it's a great question. Yeah, I'm excited about him. I hope he understands, you know, the opportunities that are in front of him. You know, sometimes these guys get, you know, they get calls by the NHL, and I get calls by the NHL from, you know, area scouts and regional scouts, and they're like, hey, tell me about this guy and how's he doing in the room and stuff. And this is what these kids have to understand. You know, they think I'm just like, okay, he's a hired strength conditioning guy, you know, but the reality is I'm talking to NHL teams, you know, weekly.
Mm-hmm.
Guys are calling me when I'm at the game up at the Huntington bank corner over there, all right, which I'm fortunate enough to have. You know, I have all the scouts are behind me, and I introduce myself to those guys, and they're like, "Hey, you know, tell me about this guy. Tell me about that guy. How's his work room habit? You know, is he working hard? Is he a good guy in a room? Do the kids like him? Is he nice to the janitor? Is he nice to the the service people? You know, how is he? You know, and that goes for all, you know, collegiate sports and above, which I've been involved with, you know, for years. And I give them my honest opinion, you know, because I don't want to ruin my reputation. They trust me.
And you're not doing them any favors by, you know, not telling the truth either. So
no, I would screw over that team. I would screw over the Phantom.
yeah.
You know, I tell people the truth. You know, no, I do it delicately. I says, well, you know, this kid maybe need a little work, you know, but if the kid's an asshole, he'll jack off. I can't say he's a great kid. I mean, I won't say anything negative, but I can't give them a tremendous positive response. And by not doing that, those scouts know.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I mean, that's another thing.
If they ask me, hey, listen, if they ask me and I say, hey, look, I really, I don't have any information for you. That's what I would say. And they would go, and they'll just nod. You know, they'll just nod, and that's it. And so I'm not going to talk down about a kid, but I will talk up a kid, you know, if he's great in my room. And that's my only space. I mean, I don't know hockey stuff. I mean, I followed hockey for years. We talked about that. But that's not my expertise. My expertise is in the weight room. All right. And I get them, you know, 2 hours a week. That's what I could comment on. But it's very important to these NHL teams. I mean, last year I was up in the corner at 3 Pittsburgh Penguins guys behind me. And I introduced myself, you know, they said, hey, you know, you the Phantoms? And I'm like, yeah. And they go, hey, tell me about this guy. Tell me about that guy. Tell me about this guy. How's the work habits? What's he doing? You know, how is he? You know, so I've got a little bit of pull. Now, I don't hold that over the kids' heads, nor have I ever led with it, you know, beginning of training camp and stuff like that. I just wanted to let their who they are come out over the course of the season. And then when we're up there in March and April, you know, last week of the season, first week of the playoffs, and those guys are there, they ask me, then I could tell them. I'd give them an honest opinion.
Okay, so Ted, before we let you go here, so if right now there's a young athlete or, you know, the parent of a young athlete listening right now, what do you want to say to them to encourage them to call you, visit you, you know, to see as far as the services you offer, what you're all about? What would you say to them right now?
Well, that's kind. Yeah, my name is Ted Rendinell. That's spelled Rendinell. My company is Max Athletic Training. My cell phone and business number is 330-272-1136. I have worked I work with the whole Youngstown Phantoms, like mini group, the youngsters, back as far 8 years ago. Many of them are in the, what's the league right below? North American Hockey League?
Yeah, the null.
Yeah, and then we got a couple kids in college already. So if you're hockey specific, I can handle you there. If kids want to play football, well, I coached at YSU. And I coached, I coached all the sports under John Patrick. You can look him up and email him if you need. Work with John Haycock, who's the head football coach at the time. So I could train boys and girls from any range, from 6th grade through 12th grade. And if they want to give me a call, that's the number.
Okay, so we've been talking to Ted Rendinell, the owner of Max Athletic Training, the owner, the CEO, the president, the grand poobah. I'll give you the number one more time if you want to reach him. That is 330-272-1136. And Ted, thank you again. Hopefully we get to talk to you again later on down the road.
Holding up the cup.
We'll hold you to that.
Thanks,
one.
Guys.
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
All right. Thanks, Ted.
Bye-bye.
So it is now time for this week's Phantoms player profile, and the spotlight is on the pride of Swansea, Illinois, forward Garrett Dahm. He is a 2000 birth year and was actually drafted twice by the Phantoms, first in the 13th round of the 2017 entry draft, then again in the 20th round of the 2019 entry draft, which isn't all that unusual. We've seen that a few times here and there. He spent the last couple seasons with the Austin Bruins of the North American Hockey League, logging 108 games and putting up 17 goals and 34 assists in his time there. Now, I'm sure this would probably be the career highlight for Garrett in his time in Austin. In a game on April 5th of last year against the Bismarck Bobcats, the Bruins won 3-0. In that game, Garrett scored all 3 goals. So not only did he get the natural hat trick, he was the entire output on the scoreboard. So whether he knew it at the time or not, that was really a heck of a way to end his NHL career before moving on to the USHL. Now, joining the Phantoms this season, Garrett has put up 13 points in 39 games. Now, if I were to describe his play, I would say it's relentless. During the Green Bay series a few weeks ago, he was terrorizing the Gamblers on the forecheck. Several turnovers behind the goal line were created by him. And while he's not someone you see in the box score very often, those are exactly the type of guys you want to see on your team.
Yeah. He's been flying out there the past couple of weeks. We've been commenting on this to ourselves. And yeah, sometimes he just comes in like a wrecking ball. Cue Miley Cyrus, but yeah. And just, comes barreling in on the forecheck and, catches a skater just flat-footed and right through him. So
yeah,
I think we both think that, he's going to start producing here pretty soon in ways that you will see on the scoreboard.
So Garrett is committed to Mercyhurst University and will be attending starting next season. Now, Mercyhurst, of course, is where former Phantoms goaltender Colin DeAugustine is currently attending, but this is his senior season, so Garrett won't be joining him next year. But yeah, I mean, congrats to Mercyhurst. You're getting a player that the phrase "give up" is just nowhere near this kid's vocabulary.
Yeah, a play is never dead when he's on the ice. It's that kind of attitude that certainly translates into recognition at higher levels.
Yeah. Okay, so looking towards this weekend, we have our rivals from that state up north coming to town, the Muskegon Lumberjacks. The game Friday night is the teddy bear toss, so bring a stuffed animal or two, or in some cases last year, a garbage bag full, and you get to chuck them on the ice after the Phantoms score their first goal. The animals will be gathered up and donated to Fostering Dreams. The game on Saturday is Teacher Appreciation Night, and what better way to appreciate teachers than to offer dollar beer to them? My wife is a teacher, and from the stories she has told me, there is no other group of people more deserving of dollar beer than teachers.
I could not agree more.
But back to it here. Yeah, that's right. Saturday night is also dollar beer and dollar hot dog night. And I must implore you, if you are coming to the game and plan on eating a lot of dollar hot dogs, please have a designated driver. Safety first. Both games have a puck drop of 7:05. We've been cruising right along in the standings with the Jacks most of the season. We've kind of been shoulder to shoulder with them. For a good bulk of the season. What can we expect with them with their visit this weekend?
I think more of what we've seen all year. We've kind of owned them at times. They got back to us in the last game. Alex Gaffney, Daniil Gushin, two kind of smaller, speedy guys. Not quite like what we saw last week with the Jackson Twins and Dubuque. So I think we can keep these guys contained. They traded their captain, Oliver McDonald, who I thought was one of their better players. Traded him off for a mid-tier defenseman. Read into that what you will about the way the organization is heading right now. So, we'll see.
Okay, so we're going to do something a little new here. A new way we're trying out to finish out these episodes. This is a segment we like to call Two Questions. This is where me and Justin will pose a question to each other. Just kind of a way to end the episode. So, Justin, my question for you is, and we've had these conversations probably about the last month or so, you see these times where the Phantoms start to show a glimmer where it looks like good times are ahead, and then it just kind of falls flat. And the wondering we've had is does it just seem like there's like a certain type of player, to get, whether through trade or, whatever, is there just like a certain type of player that you think this team is missing that if they were able to pick up, might make the difference for the team this year?
The short answer is no. I don't think there's any one player that would really make that big of a difference. So, no on that. The long answer is, if we had maybe another, pure scorer with a lot of speed, somebody we could counter other teams' speed with on offense, I think we would fare a lot better. So, my question back to you, related to yours. If there was such a player that you thought might make a big impact on, the rest of the season, might get you deeper into the playoffs without any guarantees, what would you give up?
Oh, Lord. More likely than not, with you talking about more of a pure scorer, somebody with speed. Some of the upper tier teams this year, if they have a kid like that, they're not going to give him up. So you'd be, looking lower in the standings, teams looking to more or less collect draft picks, I would say, building for the future. If something like that was available to the Phantoms, I could maybe see giving up maybe a couple of phase 2 picks. Maybe a phase 2 pick and maybe a lower round phase 1. You kind of wonder as far as giving up players. There's been so many injuries this year, and we haven't really seen a lot of the affiliates called up. So yeah, I mean, I would think maybe a couple of phase 2 picks or maybe a lower round phase 1 pick along with some kind of phase 2 pick as well.
Not willing to part with, say, a first or second rounder.
I think our drafts could have been a little better the last couple years, so I'm hesitant to want to give up those higher round picks right now. Give Brad Patterson a chance to see what he can do with those higher round picks.
Fair point.
Your pet seal approves?
Yeah. Don't make me do sound effects.
No, I'm not gonna. And we are out of time for today. Thank you again for tuning in. The Dump and Chase podcast is brought to you by hockeyfan.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Also, hit the like button and leave us a comment below. Our social media links are in the description, and you can also check out Justin's weekly blogs on hockeyfan.com, as well as our syndication partners at ohiohockeydigest.com. Thanks again to Raylan for our new artwork, which makes us look so much more handsome than we actually are. And a big thanks again to Ted Rendinell of Max Athletic Training for taking the time to talk to us. We hope you've enjoyed this new version of the show, and we will talk with you all next week.